Hey, what's up guys, it's Aoko, welcome back to more Witch on the Holy Night. Last time we finished off the Night of the Witches 2, where Aoko was able to defeat the Flat Snark, and then Sojiro ended up saving her from both the puppet and getting impaled by the Flat Snark's, I guess death counter? I guess is what you call it. Or like mutually assured destruction. Part of its legend. I don't know what I would call it. But anyway, yeah, now we are on Like a Dog, which I theorized was in the sense that he's gonna basically be their dog now. But yeah, next episode. Boop. Oh no, this is chapter 6. I thought. Okay. He was still in a deep sleep. Our boy. It all seemed ablaze in a mad, fiery red. Unbearable idle thoughts. Incessant obstinacy. Melancholy sights and gloomy, bittersweet talk. Fickle wickedness born of human interaction. Namely, the voice of a forsaken existence. Ooh, sorry about that, I accidentally smacked my microphone. This, however, was the scenery of a world far removed from that. If there were those praying this was paradise, then there were likely also those lamenting it as the underworld. In a decade, or perhaps longer, this would all change, but for now, the autumn leaves remained yet untrampled by human souls. It was scenery he knew well. Life in the mountains was humble and modest. Oh, so this is him remembering his life before coming to the city? There were no conspicuous buildings among this wilderness he called home. They gathered and stockpiled only what they needed to survive, without pillaging the land. Serpentine trails could be seen woven through the fields, and the stone steps leading to the summit were obscured by the forest, only visible once upon them. The mountain inhabitants probably intended it that way. There were no sign of mankind's exploitation among the mountain landscape. He suddenly remembered that this was the season he liked the most. Or rather, it suited him the most. There was much to be done to prepare for winter, but whenever he had a free moment, he would make his way towards the mountaintop. Gazing idly at the setting sun while breathing deep the crisp autumn air was probably the second favorite of his daily joys. It relaxed him, the cold but comforting wind at dusk, and the way the sunset dyed the peaks of vibrant crimson. Not 2 months had passed since coming down from the mountains, and already it pained him at the moment that the memories had begun to fade. Someone once told him that memories fade every day, so the best one can do is make as many new ones as possible. Recollections grew hazy. A new place to live meant the beginning of a new life. He wasn't sure if he was reluctant to let go of the scenery he'd cherished for so long, or if he'd merely been spoiled by it. Despite his new home in a city surrounded by tall buildings, he felt guilty for wanting those memories alone to remain clear in his mind. Either way, he had to make the best of a fresh start. What kind of man thinks more about where he came from than where he's going, he contemplated. Fair, good point. Yeah. It would seem that way. He tried to stop himself from indulging in uncharacteristic sentimentality. It wouldn't be a dream if it was easy to understand. Yet, yeah. The moment he realized he was dreaming, angular shadows began to rise from the autumn colors. Speaking of dreams, that's one from my childhood that I actually want to talk about. I'll probably do it at the end of the video. The moment he realized the angular shadows began to rise from the autumn colors, they were concrete buildings previously unknown and yet familiar to him at the same time. This was how his current life was washing away his memories. Struggle as you might, there was no stopping the degradation of human memory or impressions. It was merely a fact of life. By nature, humans lived in the present over the past. Eventually, even his most cherished memories would be swallowed up by the buildings. It was neither cruel nor heartless. If they were sure to disappear, then for now, he would content himself with dreaming about the memories he could clearly recall. Whether in the mountains or the city, the days flew by. Yesterday's scenery was not the same as today's. And such. Hi Aoko! She had given him no time to grieve. Distant nostalgia was beautiful, but that made it fleeting.
土産入道じゃないんだぞ、青崎。
A faint dizziness made him close his eyes. Okay. Without sight, the mountainous landscape vanished, but in its place, a familiar voice could be heard. It was a booming voice that seemed to shake not only the mountainside he stood upon, but the entire mountain as well. And of course, Aoko Hawazaki reappeared, towering in the distance. He must have been tired, he thought, diagnosing himself while trying to make out what she was saying. Fearing the vertigo would return if he reopened his eyes, he decided to keep them closed. It sounded like she was arguing with someone, though the tone was all he could make out. It wasn't violent, but certainly aggressive. Maybe she was picking a fight with another mountain across the way. Yeah, that's it. He wouldn't put it past her. After all, she was a troublemaker who blew up the moon. I mean, yeah, yeah, that happened. He couldn't quite grasp the conversation. When does he ever? Though somehow, vaguely, he had the sense that his human rights were being largely ignored. It was deeply unsettling, even for a dream. I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, to them, it's either dog or death. So, after several minutes, it seemed the high-impact argument ended in Aoko's victory. That's good. Sort of. I mean, we're not gonna die, probably. So. Then suddenly the boisterous voice faded. Praying everything would be back to normal, he opened his eyes. Oh, we're still here? I thought we would have been moved by now. Why is this scarier than when it was alive? I don't know. When it was like alive and whatnot, it was like, aside from the things chasing them, it seemed kind of fun, but now that it's back to being like old and decrepit, it's scarier. I don't know. He took a deep, slow breath. The scenery was a far cry from the nostalgic dreamscape he had just left, albeit not unpleasant either. Without a doubt, it was the amusement park. To him, this was his freshest memory. He recalled the House of Mirrors that Aoko Hawazaki destroyed. This park was a flawless replica of reality, but he was the only one there. Without having to worry about anyone chasing him, he sat down on the wreckage of Kitsy's rides and looked up at the moon that should have been shot down. Yeah. The winter moon shone white like a jewel. It was layered over the figure of the girl who tried to kill him. If a mage was a witch, then she definitely fit the bill. What are you trying to say, huh, Sojiro? I don't mind being killed. Such an absurd thing to say, but it spilled out of him so naturally.
いやでも
Maybe that had nothing to do with witches or magecraft. There was an echo in the gaps of his heart. If she had not spoken those words, then he would not have responded as he did. In that moment, what did Aoko Hawazaki said to him? As he tried to remember, his deep slumber drew to an end. And with it, his chance to find the answers he so wished he could find. Oh, so was him being in Kitsuland him dreaming still? Oh, okay. I guess it was. Then, Sojiro woke up in an unfamiliar room gasping. At first I thought the Kitsuland bit was him waking up, and I was like, oh, I thought we would have been gone already, but no, I guess he was still dreaming then. Not because the plush mattress he was on was softer than his apartment's cheap futon. Or because everything from the carpet to the wallpaper looked expensive. Uh-huh. Oh, hey, Alice! How's it going? It's a neat way to wake up, I guess. Bewildered, he tried to catch his breath. She was the cause of his surprise. The moment Sojiro's eyes snapped open, there she was, the girl dressed in black sitting at his bedside. The silence was deafening. Yeah. What? Still supine on the bed, Sojiro gazed at her. His impulse was to sit up, but he refrained, thinking it might be rude to be staring at the person sitting next to him. Thinking it might be rude to be... Bruh. These translations are a little rough sometimes. She was just sitting there on a chair, dressed in black, modest clothes. Still, she projected an air that she was anything but plain. Or that was anything but plain. Her monochrome outfit evoked indescribable elegance. Like a costume handmade just for her from the finest fabrics. It was enough to inspire poetic sentiments even in Sojiro. Okay. The girl continued to sit, completely motionless. Without realizing it, Sojiro had stopped breathing. Genuine astonishment had him captivated. Such beauty. It was the first time he'd ever thought to use such a simple, plain expression to describe another human being. She was the daffodil in perfect bloom, or the ideal female form seen only in dreams. This quality was something to be cherished and admired in her. It was different from Aoko Hawazaki's blindingly radiant vitality. Yeah, vitality, that's how I would just... I guess that's a word to describe her. After all, the flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long. I don't like that expression. And there was no way this girl would be allowed such a happy ending. Why are they... Sojiro, stop thinking these thoughts. You're making me paranoid now. Okay. Her life was a solitary fable of someone who left the world in exactly the same way they entered it. With her humanity stolen at birth, hers was an existence not of this world. The more beautiful something was, the more tragic its fate. Okay. Growing up in the mountains, this was not something Sojiro was taught, but something he learned from experience.
眠ってるみたいだ。
I doubt it. I'll be honest, I very much doubt that. Sojiro turned his head as though he was being lured in. He knew it was rude to stare, but he couldn't fight his instincts. Then... yeah, not sleeping. This time, his heart actually skipped a beat. She was not asleep at all. Yeah, expressionless. She was merely watching over him while he recovered. Sojiro froze, unable to turn his head away or think of something clever to say. It was like staring into her eyes turned him to stone. Perhaps because of her delicate features, she looked somewhat younger than him. On the other hand, her tranquil expression made him feel like she was older. Jet black hair just to her shoulders. Her large eyes were set like onyx stones, matching her hair. Devoid of emotion, her gaze stayed fixed on Sojiro. Even after their eyes met, she did not turn away. Awkward. He wanted to speak, but could not find the words. It was not unlike a frog being stared down by a snake. Nevertheless, he just couldn't bring himself to say something. Additionally... Oh, he's remembering that now, huh? No matter how carefree Sojiro might have been, he was painfully aware that this girl was as powerful as Aoko. Yeah. Less talkative to be sure, but still powerful. Objectively, the scene was not unlike that of someone nursing a bedridden stranger. He had no idea what she may have been thinking about, but it seemed to him this harsh silence might last forever. Oh god, I hope not. All he could say for sure was that the quiet did not appear to bother her in the slightest. Yeah, no, she's definitely the type that likes to just like sip tea quietly and just not talk. It was like some bizarre form of punishment.
これが青崎の仕込みなら手が込みすぎる。
Why would it be a... Okay. I don't know why it'd be a test, but sure. He thought, keeping his eyes on the girl. He felt like the moment he turned his head or blinked, she might stab him in the chest with a hidden blade. Maybe. Possibly. And not because his imagination was running away with him. Yeah, no, definitely. You know, you're not probably not wrong. In the stifling silence, it was only natural that Sojiro would think back on what happened, on what had happened in the amusement park, and it made him uneasy. But stronger than any anxiety was his fascination with the girl. Okay. Her slender frame and milky white skin. The chill of her guarded stare. The warmth of her lingering femininity. Uh-huh. It was the mixture of those two latter qualities that was almost magical. Right. He stared at her for so long, he began to get the feeling that they had met somewhere before. Yeah, you gave her food when you were doing deliveries. Sometime before the conflict at Kitsyland. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, but he was sure he had seen her previously. Yeah.
その今更だけど
His voice shattered the frozen silence in the room. He almost felt sorry for making noise as he spoke out to her. But they couldn't very well just sit and stare at each other forever. I mean, you could, but... Though he might have been the only one thinking they were staring, and perhaps she thought they were glaring at each other.
ここはどこで君は誰だかわかるかな
Yeah, fair question. I thought he was gonna go somewhere else with that, but yeah, no, I guess those are the more pressing pressing matters. She narrowed her eyes slightly, though apparently not out of offense. Huh. There was no response. Yeah, I kind of figured. Just as she was thinking it would have been better to keep quiet, she quietly raised her hand.
これ、あなたのでしょ?
But her voice was cold but melodic. A white piece of cloth was wrapped in her fingers. There was no need to tell him what it was. He was conscious enough to recognize his own possessions. Okay. Sojiro sat speechless as she tossed it to him. Ooh. Oh, his bandage. Wait, nah, they just teased that his neck was uncovered and they don't show it to us. Are you kidding me? Picking it up, he wrapped it around his neck.
青子はそれを知っているの?
He looked away in response to a blunt question. Distracted by something unrelated, she called Aoko Awazaki by her given name, which led him to believe that the mountain Aoko had argued with in his dream was actually the girl beside him. Yeah?
さあ、どうだろう?
As sincerely as he could, he answered without presumption. There are things that should be known and things that need not be. There are also things that should be told and other things that must not be. Sojiro wasn't exactly sure what that she was referring to. However,
でも、その方がいいとは思うよ。
again, I haven't seen what they're talking about. I assume it's probably some like gnarly scar, I'm guessing. But I don't know. I'm assuming it's gonna be of story importance and it will be shown to us and like explained sometime near like the end of the game, maybe. Hopefully. I should hope it's not just shrouded in mystery the entire playthrough. He smiled slightly at her question. Perhaps impressed by his response, the overwhelming pressure in the room dissipated noticeably. Or maybe she had been more nervous than he was the entire time, projecting the image that his room was her domain a tad too strongly. I mean, it's her house, I assume. I assume they're in the mansion, so it is her domain. The tension faded. Sojiro tried to sit up and prop his arms beneath him. Now that they were talking, it seemed awkward to stay lying down. However, his body felt strange as he tried to move, and it surprised him how difficult it was to sit up. It took everything he had just to raise his upper body to a sitting position.
あれ、洋服のままだ。
Yeah? Were you expecting them to have undressed you? You perv? I'm just kidding. I knew he probably didn't think that way, but still. As he threw the covers back, he tilted his head quizzically.
申し訳ない。こんないい布団なのに、これじゃ不釣り合いだ。というよりもったいない。
Yeah. Okay. She stared at him, not expecting him to complain about not wearing pajamas while sleeping. I mean, they're the ones who put you in the bed, so it's like, yeah. If they had an issue with it, they would have just like thrown you on the floor on like a plain sheet or something. I don't know. Somehow, it appeared that he had done something to surprise her. Yeah, no, after she, and Aoko also tried to kill you. After she tried to kill you, you wake up and she's just right there, and then you're in an unknown place. It's like, she probably assumes you'd have more like pressing issues to worry about rather than the fact that you slept in your clothes. So, I guess if I was her, I'd be like, I can see why she's surprised. I can see why she's surprised. Like, but you're worried about sleeping in regular clothes and not me murdering you? Like, what?
なんでだ何もしてないぞ俺
Sojiro, you are clueless. Pouting a bit at the unwarranted curiosity, he turned to face her. Although he was still mostly laying down, it was at least a more dignified position.
それでさっきの続きだけど
Probably not. Indeed, he needed to find out where he was and who she was before anything else. Actually, the more he thought about what happened at the amusement park, the more he got a sinking feeling in his stomach. Yeah! There we go. Finally reacting how you should. And now she's back to glaring at him. Perhaps finally getting through to her, she calmly moved her arm from behind her back when... Here's Aoko. Once again, they silently locked eyes. Thump, 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 thump. There was a startling sound of rapidly approaching footsteps. They both had a pretty good idea of who it was. Yeah.
Alice, 約束!
Promised what? Just as expected. Aoko Awazaki burst through the door with a thunderous roar. She entered wearing her school uniform, her long hair flowing behind her. Her breathing was heavy and her forehead was wrinkled by a scowl, granting her a demonic appearance. Okay.
Alice!
This girl named Alice scowled slightly in response. She may have even let out a sigh of disappointment. Oh, she may have even let a sigh of disappointment slip out.
早かったわね、Aoko.
Yeah. Her calm voice was the polar opposite of Aoko's. Needless to say, her voice dripped with a brazen coldness.
そりゃあんたの性格は知り抜いてるからね。こういう時の短絡思考はこの2年で経験済みよ。お行儀がいいようで面倒になったらあっさり投げ捨てるのがあんたでしょ。
Damn, you calling her out like that? In front of a guest?
人聞きの悪い。
Effortlessly, she brushed aside Aoko's jab. In doing so, Sojiro had the distinct impression that she no longer even realized he was in the room.
はそれで今日まで何度煮え湯を飲まされたことか。Aokoに譲ると言ったけど、よく考えると面倒だから私の方で処理しておいたわ。なんて言い訳、もう聞き飽きたっつーの。短気なのはそっちの自由だけど、それなら後の始末は相方に任せるのが最低限の筋ってもんじゃないの？
I mean, is that the least she can do? I don't know.
そうね。そうでなければ共闘している意味がないわ。
You know, okay, she's not arguing with it, but actually, I'll wait to see because it's not the end of that sentence or that paragraph because there's no extra quotation marks. Let's see. Yeah.
今後の方針を勝手に決めた人のセリフじゃないとは思うけど。それもきっちり型をつけたでしょ？いい？勝ったのは私たちよ。逃げ切れば見逃してあげるって言ったのは誰？言動には責任を持ちなさい、アリス。
Didn't she say that she would only let him go if that if you won she'd only let him go for now, like for that round, like so it's she wouldn't really be going back on her word then, Because this is after the fact. She let him live for, however long he's been asleep, so it's like...
それとも何？もしかして一番気に食わないのはそのあたりの理由なわけ？
Alice frowned slightly and fell silent. Her housemate seemed to have struck a nerve that Alice herself did not know was there.
とにかくこいつの扱いはちゃんと目が覚めて本人の意思でどうするか決めるまで保留ってことで合意したでしょ？
Okay, at least they're planning to include us in the conversation. That's nice.
人の留守中に出し抜くのはやめてよね。
それ、青子、学校はどうしたの？まだ正午になったばかりなのに。
アリスのとこが今日で終わりって思い出して家庭の事情ってことで早退したのよ。期末試験前だってのにほんと何やってんのか。
Aoko grumbled more to herself than anyone else in the room. Then she locked eyes with Alice. Or more accurately, they glared daggers at each other. The room had become tense once again, and it felt like a fight could break out at any moment. With no easy way to escape, Sojiro had no choice but to sit and watch. Cat fight. But then, the electric silence that seemed like it would last forever suddenly broke about a minute later. Apparently, this sort of clash was an everyday occurrence. Yeah.
私は今に行っているから。彼に事情を説明してあげて。
Alice stood up from the chair and made for the door. Watching her go, Sojiro cocked his head. In her hand was what could only be described as...
果物ナイフ。
Yeah, okay, she was about to stab us before Aoko showed up. Okay. Nice timing, Aoko. He had no other words to describe the tool she was clutching.
アリス、あえて聞くけど、その手に持ってるの何
？Aoko asked Alice as she walked past.
探検ね。どう見ても。
Yeah. Alice answered expressionlessly before briskly walking out of the room. He's like, did I almost die? Was I about to be murdered? Sojiro thought it best to not think too deeply about the scene he had just witnessed. Yeah, that's for the best, for sure.